Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sam's Bikes. In the right corner, we have the award-winning Levo Gen 3 S-Works, a 14,000 euro e-bike with all the bells and whistles. And in the left corner, we have Bayer's DIY Klein Attitude, which is 600 euros. Not a fair test, I know, but Riders, welcome back to Sam's Bikes, where you know we only talk e-bikes, and we've all seen the e-bikes go up in value over the last couple of years. So I thought I'd put one of the best, one of the most expensive e-bikes on the market to the test against one of the cheapest e-bikes you possibly can buy. I know it's not going to be a fair test at all, and the Levo will definitely blow it out of the water, but I need a comparison. And also, some people really don't need all the bells and whistles and will get by with some type of DIY e-bike. Maybe I wouldn't recommend a hardtail, but you could definitely build this into a full suspension. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start off with the commuting test, because a lot of people buy e-bikes to commute to work and ride on the weekend. So we're going to do a little loop of the park here, like a 5-minute loop, and see how they stack up. This one's actually not restricted, so I reckon this is going to win. And riders out there, not restricting your bike is not a good idea. It came like this, so I'm going to do the test like that. And then we're going to do a little trail ride. Nothing too crazy, a little bit of undulating trails, and just see how we get on. And then we're going to do a little bit of downhilling, and then we're going to do a little bit of hill climbing, and then the last test will be a little bit of jumping. And I'm really not sure with this bike, because it has a rear hub drive, which makes the whole bike weigh more at the back. So I'm definitely going to go into a bit of ski jumping, but we'll see how it goes. So those are the e-bikes, and obviously it's not going to be a very fair test, but I thought it'd be interesting to show what you can actually do on a 600 euro e-bike. A lot of people out there, you know, this is going to be the absolute cheapest way for you to get onto an e-bike in 2022. Anyway, riders, let's go and see how they stack up. Okay, so first test, commuting. We're going to do a loop around the lake here. First off, Levo. I'm going to record it on the Insta360 Go. Awesome camera. So let's go, riders. All right, and we're off, and Alvaro is the new cameraman at Sam's Bikes, and he's recording me. So I am in turbo. We're going full power, and yeah, it's quite far, actually. I don't think this is going to be an interesting test, because right now I'm going 25 k's an hour, which is the absolute limit of the Levo. You can ride above the limiter, but if you were commuting, you wouldn't be doing that. No way. So, and we're coming back to the home stretch. 355. And now onto the Klein. I wanted to say this is super small, this bike. It's Bayer's bike. So I'm doing it for the test, but it definitely doesn't look right. Let's see how we ride the stairs on the rigid. Oh, yes! And as I said, this thing is not restricted. So let's see how fast we can get it going. So we're coming back onto the final stretch here. I reckon it's going to be almost even, or maybe even faster. Okay, commuter test done, and the Klein won, but it was predictable because it's not restricted. And the Levo did very well, but we had 355 on the Levo and 325 on the 600 euro Klein. So we got one win here. Now we're going to do a trail ride. I thought the trail part ride was a really interesting part about it, because not everyone wants to go hardcore enduro and downhill riding. So we're riding on one of our local trails. This is actually like my commuter trail that I get to when I'm going to actually the downhill tracks. So I ride this a fair bit. Okay, now we're on the big beast. Oh man, it feels so different. Definitely for trail riding. I mean, of course, the Levo's gonna blow it out of the water. Okay, so obviously the Levo wins for trail riding. I mean, clearly it would. It's an absolute beast. But you know, the climb was pretty good, you know. If you don't have a big budget, it's actually all right. Like, and if the trails aren't so bumpy. And now onto the downhilling, and I've got to be honest, I'm a bit nervous to do it on this bike. It's pretty unstable, but it's also quite exciting to ride. So we picked a downhill that's not amazingly hard downhill, but I reckon it's going to feel like a World Cup track on this bike. So let's go. Staying off those brakes, keeping it smooth, son. Keeping it smooth, line selection. All right, dropping in on the downhill, which is kind of more like a steepish trail downhill. On the Levo, it's chalk and cheese compared to the climb. It's so composed. Okay, so we just finished the downhill part, and actually the climb was okay. It was a lot harder to ride, clearly, but it was pretty exciting to ride. And now we're doing the hill climb challenge, and this is where I really think this bike, the Klein, is going to suffer, because it's quite a steep hill and it's got 40 Newton meters, but it doesn't seem to like any type of gradient. So let's go check that out. Easy. So now we're off. Pretty steep hill. We're just pulling straight up. You really don't even need gear selection. And we're off and racing, kind of. This thing does not pull at all. I'm out of the saddle, super hard to get this thing going. This motor's not bad unless you actually go up a hill. No, that's a fail. That's a fail for me. Okay, now Alvaro, the cameraman, is taking me to his local dirt jumps. They're not massive, but I am riding this crazy bike here. And riders, look how small this thing is. And also the weight's right at the back. I'm not sure it's a great idea. I picked a little tabletop to give it a crack. I've dropped the seat. Let's give it a go. As predicted, the Levo absolutely rocks at the jump park compared to the climb. The climb was super scary. I would not recommend it. I got about 2 inches of air, but it is doable. Definitely something that I probably wouldn't do again. Okay, now on to the conclusion. Clearly, the Levo was a standout, and it would be. 14,000 euro e-bike. It is an absolute beast. But the Klein wasn't bad. If you think about 600 euros, you know, it's actually a pretty decent bike. The only spot it really failed, in my opinion, was the steep hill climbs, like those pinch hill climbs. But you know, 600 euros. But if you are in the market for something maybe to commute to work and you don't want to take your really expensive e-bike to work, this is definitely going to work. Or getting one for your partner. I actually built this one up for Bea. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money just in case she didn't like mountain biking that much. And actually, riders, she's ridden it twice. I also see this a really good, especially this size, for one of your kids. This is such a small bike for me, so I look like an elephant riding a tricycle today. But definitely, I would say 600 euros, definitely a great option. Clearly, Levo the winner. Anyway, riders, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And you know it. Stay safe out there, and we're going to see you next time.